Should you pull for Jessie's BT and Snow's FR? We're gonna start with the breakdowns. Jessie's roles are a ranged attacker, support, and turn manipulation. Spinning back kick, her skill 1, increases her brave by 200% of her own attack, then it will deal 8 HP attacks with 150% splash, delaying the target by 3 turns and granting her buff Avalanche's Provisioner for 6 turns. Uprising, her skill 2, moves a selected ally's turn after her own. It will grant party brave by 200% of her own attack, then it will deal 6 split HP attacks. The show must go on. Her EX will move her allies after her own turn, with the selected ally being first. It will grant the party brave by 300% of her own attack, and then it is an instant turn rate move that deals 7 split HP attacks, granting top billing to Knight for 8 turns, and after you use it once, it will upgrade to its plus version, and then you can use it again. The plus version will give 1 free ability use, as well as fill up allies' EX gauges to max. Surefire Drop, her LD, will grant party brave by 50% of her own attack, then it will deal 7 AoE HP attacks, delaying all enemies by 2 turns, and moving her own turn after a selected ally. My Life, My Road, her FR, will also delay all enemies by 2 turns. Curtain Call, her BT, grants Shaped Charge, lasting 8 turns, giving a party HP cap of 30%, and it will upgrade her HP command to Shaped Charge. Shaped Charge, her HP command, deals 3 AoE HP attacks by 100% of the Shaped Charge value. And by the way, when it comes to HP dumps, it can go all the way up to 999,000 with enough HP damage ups in the party, just like Leonora's overhead. This attack will also not consume any brave, delay all enemies by 2 turns, and extend all of Jessie's active buffs by 1 turn. Jessie's buffs and debuffs: Avalanche's Provisioner and top billing tonight will give party max brave ups by 20%, and Shape Charge, her overhead, stores a value of party brave damage dealt, and the value limit is 500% of Jessie's HP cap. Jessie's force conditions: you get a 20% when you're using a ranged ability, a 20% when you're moving an ally's turn or delaying an enemy, basically turn manipulating, and 40% if the previous turn was an ally's. Is Jessie's BT necessary? If you want her full DPS, then yes, you do. Her BT gives access to her HP command, which is her strongest move, as well as having some delay in it too, being able to delay all enemies by 2 turns. It's a very strong attack, but if you're wanting to just use her turn manipulation and don't care much for damage, you can skip greening her. Her FR and LD also delay all enemies by 2 turns, and all of her party turn manipulating, moving her turns and her allies' turns, that all comes from outside of her BT anyway. You don't need the green to do any of that either. Moving on to Snow. His roles are a tank, melee attacker, enchant imperil, and a battery. Steel Guard, his skill 1, grants the party brave by 200% of his own initial brave, then it will deal 6 HP attacks, increasing brave by 30% of the HP damage dealt, inflicting group lock for 5 turns, granting 1 level of offensive screen for 10 turns, and granting Steel Guard for 10 turns. Frost Strike, his skill 2, deals 8 HP attacks, increasing brave by 30% of the HP damage dealt, and then self heal by 20% of the HP damage dealt, up to 50% of the max HP, and if there's any excess healing that happens, it will go to his brave instead. Sovereign Fist, his EX, deals 8 HP attacks with 150% splash of the total HP damage dealt, but this changes to 80% if the targets are broken. This increases brave by 30% of the HP damage dealt, increasing skill 2 use by 1, inflicting group lock for 5 turns once again, and granting the buff Hot-Blooded Hero for 6 turns. Voice crack. Ice Ramp, his LD, increases his brave by 300% of his own initial brave, then it will deal 6 AoE HP attacks, increasing brave by 30% of the HP damage dealt, inflicting group ice resist down for 6 turns, and granting 2 levels of Vendetta for 12 turns. If you're wondering what Vendetta is, it basically is the buff that gives his preemptive attack. It is called Retribution, and when Vendetta is level 1, the preemptive attack before Snow moves will be 2 split HP attacks, increasing brave by 30% of the HP damage dealt, and inflicting group ice resist down for 4 turns. When Vendetta is at level 2, the highest level, it will deal 9 AoE HP attacks instead, reducing 1 level of Vendetta afterwards, increasing brave by 30% of the HP damage dealt, and inflicting ice resist down for 4 turns. Let's move on to his BT. Will Never Give Up. Lasts for 8 turns, giving a party HP cap up of 30%, a party ice enchant, and then it has a final effect where the party will battery themselves, increasing their brave by 50% of the HP damage dealt per attack. Snow's buffs and debuffs. Off screen, I said off screen. Offense offensive screen is a leveled buff from 1 to 3, giving an initial and max brave up by 20% at level 1. Level 3 will give 40% and a brave regen by 100% of initial brave at level 1. At level 3, you're gonna get 150% instead. Hot-blooded hero will give Snow a max brave up by 40% and an initial brave up by 40%. Vendetta will give him self ice enchant and give a party HP regen by 10% of the max HP. The way you increase level from 1 to 2 is by receiving either brave damage or HP damage. Either or will increase the level. Snow's force conditions, you're getting a 40% when you're using an ice ability, a 20% when having a leveled buff or an overhead, and a 20% whenever enemy brave damage is reduced or absorbed by a buff. Is Snow's BT necessary? Honestly, no. The bulk of his damage comes from his preemptive attack, being able to deal 9 AoE HP attacks before even moving. The best part about his BT, in my opinion, is his party battery effect, but Snow isn't even supposed to be a support to begin with. You could easily find another unit to give a similar role for your team, and party ice enchant isn't that important to go after either. In a stacked banner cycle such as the one we're in right now, any opportunity to save your BT materials, you should probably take it. Now that we got all that out of the way, let's move on to the should you pulls. Should you pull for Jessie? Let's start with her positives. She is a turn manipulation machine. She has access to both AoE and single target delay, the two of which being very strong, being able to delay all enemies by 2 turns as well as delaying a single enemy by 3 turns. Not only that, she's able to warp both herself and the allies. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everything besides her BT finisher turn manipulates something. So whenever she moves, someone is gonna be getting moved. What I like about being able to turn manipulate this often is she can give more opportunity for some of your other allies to move more, and if it's a DPS unit and you give him more turns, that's a good thing to have. She's able to AoE delay with her LD, her FR, as well as her BT HP command. Speaking of the BT HP command, it's very good. Both being her strongest move and being able to AoE delay at the same time, I think that's a good combo to have. And remember, damage from her overhead effect, if you have enough party effects on you, HP damage up effects, her HP command can deal up to 999,000 per HP dump. So her HP command hits pretty nicely. And lastly, this is a bit less important, but it's something I wanted to talk about regardless. Her being able to EX refill with her EX, I think is a pretty cool thing. I think being able to refill is a cool thing to have. On the downsides of Jessie, if you want to use her HP back to back, say in a burst phase, you're gonna need some form of off-turn damage in your party. It's not hard at all. Just bring someone like Weiss or Core along with you. It's not the hardest thing in the world to get it at max. So just be on the lookout for that. Second off, her FR conditions are very hard. Not only are you limited to the attack type, only rewarding ranged abilities, but you also have to turn manipulate. Also, you have to make sure that the turn before yours was an ally's turn. So if this FR is active and the enemies take a turn, yeah, you're only going to be getting 40% in the next move, and I think that's kind of annoying. It's a very, very restrictive main FR. It doesn't even give a 50% cap up when the FR is active, so really no reason for you to use this as the main FR at all. I mean, unless you're running solo. That's the only way I could see you using this as the main FR. Definitely use this as an echo only. All in all, if you really like Jessie and you like her mechanics, I think she's going to be a cool addition to your team, but do I think she's necessary at all? Absolutely not. I'm personally going to be skipping her because I already have her FR. Let me know your guys' plans for Jessie. Let's move on to Snow. Should you pull for Snow? My favorite parts of him is obviously with that preemptive attack. Dealing 9 AoE HP attacks before even moving. That's crazy. And the fact that you can not only level up the buff by getting hit, but you can also level it up with your own moves. Remember that Snow's LD actually increases the buff as well. So using Snow as an LD nuker, absolutely a great option. You're going to be seeing very, very high DPS numbers with that. Fun fact, like Ida, if you have enough HP cap ups with Snow, for example, if you use him in Summon, if you have Enacro's BT effect active, he actually does more damage with his LD than Asos's LD. Fun fact, very, very high numbers. In my opinion, he's a much better DPS unit than he was a tank. A lot of people who have been playing the game know this about him already, but he's a great farming option. With Omnia, whenever a new current current chapter comes up, or if you're catching up to old content, you're going to be clearing a lot of missions, and those missions take up a lot of time. Great thing about Snow's preemptive attack, you don't even need to click anything in order for him to attack. You can basically start the party and then just don't even touch your phone for like a minute or two and the mission is done. So if you want a good budget farming option, I highly recommend maybe trying and getting up to his LD at least. Very cool. And remember, if you have all the way up to his FR, you really don't need the BT. As I've stressed before, you're still going to be getting that really strong 9 AoE HP attack even without the BT active. One other thing I like about Snow is he has pretty high self-support. A lot of his moves do have self-battery in them per HP attack. So after every HP attack that he does with his skills, he's going to be getting some Brave back in the middle. I think that's really good for self-support, as well as his skill 2 being able to heal himself. Remember that excess healing also will battery him. So he has a lot of options of batterying himself, even if his BT is inactive. If you do have the BT, the best part about it, in my opinion, is the party battery effect, letting everyone be able to battery themselves after attacking. I think that's a really cool thing. On the downsides of Snow, I gotta say, I don't really find his FR that appealing. On turn damage, the most you're gonna be getting is 60%. Nowadays, 70 is the minimum, in my opinion, for an FR to be somewhat good. 60% in the era we're in right now isn't doing it for me. Yes, you are going to be getting a little bit of offense and a little bit of defense for his FR conditions, but are you going to be getting as high of numbers as, say, Fujin, Yuna? I don't think so. And also seeing that his FR doesn't give any sort of cap-ups when it's active, that also hurts his value as a main FR, in my opinion. Overall, I'm not very impressed with either Snow's FR or Jessie's FR. They're much better used as echoes. Now, next con with him, I'm a bit perturbed that he has so many buffs to him. I wouldn't say they're completely useless because offensive screen does give bravery gen and vendetta is what gives him his preemptive attack. I just don't like that he has 4 framed buffs to him. For each ally, you only have 6 slots available, so the fact that he fills up 4 of them just from his own kit, it can be a bit tricky if your other allies need to give buffs to him. Filling up all the way to 6 buffs is going to be pretty common with Snow. Again, when allies need to give Snow the buffs, like if you're using Deuce and one of her buffs gives cap up, you need that on Snow. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's definitely something you can work around, but to me, it's still pretty inconvenient to have that. And lastly, with Snow, from what I'm looking in his kit, I don't see anywhere that says he has Last Stand, so I think that's also a bit of a shame. Granted, he has a number of effects that give HP damage up resist, HP brave resist, so you're not left completely in the dark when it comes to defense. I would have liked to see some sort of Last Stand. Of course, I could be wrong about this. If I am, let me know in the comments below, but yeah, I don't see anything here. My plans for Snow, I already have his BT, I already have his LD, EX, and whatever. I just need the FR, so if I have enough tickets on me, or if I have some spare tickets from the Diablo Spiritus that's coming soon, I probably will try and take that FR. Thank you guys so much for watching with me. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!